Hello YouTube, Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you, as is usual. I've been away in Iceland for 2 weeks, so if you're wondering why you haven't seen a new video in a little while, that's the reason why. But stay tuned to the channel and you will get some nice Icelandic beer reviews for you coming in the next few weeks. But for this one, we're going to go over to America, to Washington State on the west coast, and it's actually quite an aptly named beer. So we're going to try the Bifrost Winter Ale from Elysian Brewing Company in Seattle, Washington State. And if you don't know, the Bifrost is the sort of mechanism that Asgardians in Nordic folklore used to travel to the Nine Realms, the Rainbow Bridge and everything like that. It's very, very cool. And if you go to Keflavik Airport in Iceland, they do have the sort of end of this Rainbow Bridge. It's really, really cool actually. I highly recommend you go to Iceland if you get the chance. I really enjoyed my time there. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I will take you through a very brief history of the brewery. It's quite an interesting one actually, so stick with me if you are interested in that. Just fast forward a few minutes into the video though if you are simply interested in the tasting, and the link to the brewery website is in the description for you below, so check that out. But anyway, the Elysian Brewery was founded in 1996 by Dick Cantwell, Joe Bisacca and David Buller. Now Dick Cantwell was originally a home brewer and he built a bit of a reputation for himself in different breweries throughout the Washington state before going into business for himself with his friends. But Elysian opened their first venue in 1996 in Capitol Hill in Seattle, and the following year they were chosen to run a brewery at GameWorks, which was a joint venture between Universal Studios, Sega Games and also DreamWorks Studios as well. But this partnership was actually terminated in 2002 after the 5-year contract expired. The following year though, they opened up their Tangletown brewpub, which essentially acts as the brew lab for the company, and later in 2006 they opened up the Elysian Fields Bar and Restaurant, which is next to the two sports arenas in Seattle. Apparently there's very, very crazy sports fans up there. The only team I kind of know of is the Seattle Sounders, of course, in the MLS, but I think the Seahawks come from there, correct me if I'm wrong. But between their 4 locations, apparently you can get an offering of 20 different beers at any one time from the Elysian Brewery, so a very good selection of beer is available from these guys. But they do a number of collaboration brewing activities, notably with working with the New Belgium Brewery from Fort Collins. But until 2011 they'd actually been brewing their big batch beer at the New Belgium facility in Fort Collins. But this changed when they actually opened up their new dedicated brewing facility in the Georgetown area of Seattle. So these guys are starting to really kind of majorly expand now, but they're quite a well established brewery in Seattle. Apparently these guys are the flag carriers of sort of Washington State beer, although a lot of beer that is coming out of the west coast of America is excellent. So I mean there's bound to be countless really good breweries in Washington State, so people from Washington State, if you are watching, please let me know some other good breweries for me to check out. I may be heading to Vancouver to study, so I'm sure I'll be able to pick up some of the stuff up in Canada. But that's your sort of brief history of the Elysian Brewing Company there. Just to read out a few of the other beers you can get from these guys. In their year-round range you get the Immortal and the Avatar, which are both IPAs. You get the Loser, which is a pale ale. You get the Men's Room, which is a red ale, and also Dragon's Tooth, which is a stout. They have their seasonal beers. This guy is a member of that. You also get the Split Shot, which is an espresso milk stout. Super Fuzz, which is a blood orange pale ale, and Night Owl, which is the pumpkin ale. They also have a few other different series. They've got the Pumpkin Speciality, which is Great Pumpkin and Dark O. They also have the Manic IPA series, and this is the Savant, Davglow and Space Dust. And there's a few other sort of random one-off brews that they do as well, from what the website tells me. But that's your sort of brief going over of the Elysian Brewery. So let's get on to the tasting of this guy itself. I'll just bring up the camera and actually let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. It's really cool actually, the nice sort of stars in the sky and stuff like that with 2 kind of piney trees or whatever there. It does have a little bit of a description on the side. It says Bifrost is our lively winter brew, a bold pale ale with citrus and earthy hop character balanced by a smooth malt backbone, 7.5% by volume. I did write down the malt and hop base on this one here. It says it's pale malts with small amounts of Munich and Crystal, and it's hopped mainly with Magnum, but Chinook and Styrian Goldings are added on the finish as well. And as I said, it's a 7.5% winter ale, this one, so it should be really interesting for us to try. This is the Elysian bottle cap on the top here. I'll just check that you're seeing that before we wire into it, but it's got some nice kind of hop cones on it and some nice leaves as well. So let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting. It should be a really interesting beer, and it was highly regarded by some of the Americans I spoke to about it. This brewery, as I say, seemed to do very, very well over in Washington State, so let's see how we get on. I've actually been looking forward to this one since I got it, so quite happy that I'm actually getting the chance to review it now. So we'll just set this back down here, it's all in good position. So as you can see, I'll just bring the light over and make sure that you're seeing the colour from this beer. If you can see it there, it's a nice, really kind of bright orange. If I put my fingers behind it, you can't see through it. Pretty much transparent, about a finger and a half of a nice kind of solid frothy white head there. Not off-white at all, I would say. There's just a little bit of carbonation kind of going up to the bottom of the head there, but really not very much at all is visible in that. But a really nice, bright, orangey amber colour beer there. It looks really, really nice actually. So let's give it a smell and see how we get on here. I'll just put this light away and try and fix that back for you. But you can smell the freshness of this guy without even paying too much attention to it. You can smell the sort of earthy character and dusty character to it as well. But it's quite hoppy. You've got a nice little bit of grapefruit in there and the citric notes too. A little bit of pine resin as well. It actually, from what the winter ales that I'm used to, it's actually smelling quite a bit different. It's more of a pale ale than a winter ale, I would say, just on the aroma. But there's a little bit of floral character in there too. Some sweet caramel malts. And a little bit of toasted malt, I would say. It's a really nice smelling beer actually. It does have a teeny tiny little bit of skunk in it, so maybe it's just because obviously this is the winter brew, but it should be okay. But it smells really nice, as I say, some nice grapefruit aromas, citric and pine resin, a little bit floral and some nice caramel and bready malts there. But let's give it a taste and see how we get on. Yeah, kind of, it's a very well blended flavour actually. Just on first thought, it seems there's nothing really that sticks out. There's no kind of ingredient that is more prominent than anything else. It's very, very well blended actually. But you've got some nice juicy grapefruit and kind of citricy orange character in there as well. The fruity character comes out at the start, then kind of rolls up the tongue and comes out. It's got quite a wet end to the beer, I would say, and that helps bring out the more piney resins, and it brings out the fruit again for a sort of second wind, if you like. The kind of caramel character is just sitting in the middle of the palate there as well. It's got a little bit, the earthy character that they're saying in this beer really is mixing quite well with that. But yeah, some nice juicy grapefruit and citric character coming out in the start of this one. Coming out again in the aftertaste with a little bit more pine resin just around the edges of the mouth. The fruit flavours in this one are really well done, but the malt balances it out very well. And as I said, it's more of a very well balanced one than having something that really sticks out. And I do like that when you can get a pale ale. It does that quite well. In my mind though, it's very different from other winter ales that I've had. It is more of a pale ale than a winter ale in my experience. Really, with a winter ale, I would say that you expect more of the kind of dark red fruits and things like that. And this guy really is more of a pale ale more than anything else. But yeah, as I say, some really nice piney resins just coming out on the edge of the tongue. A nice earthy caramel character in the middle of the palate. There's almost just a little bit of a kind of cakey flavour in the malt base, just this kind of standard sponge cake flavour in there. Just a little bit of that in the malt base as well. It blends really well together. All the flavours complement each other really, really well. In terms of the mouth, I would describe it as a kind of mid-bodied beer. The carbonation is pretty standard for the style. It's quite moderate. There's a little bit of alcohol warmth on this one that just comes out. It actually complements the aftertaste quite well and helps bring out just that earthy character in the malt base. So it works really, really well actually. And the flavour and the mouthfeel of this one go really, really hand in hand together. It's very well done. It does have just a nice little bit of lingering bitter character to it on the mouth as well, although you do get the kind of wetness of the oily feel in the mouth just coming out a little bit more and pushing the sort of fruit and pine resin flavours out a little bit more too. So it's a really interesting one. There's a lot to take in with this beer. This isn't one I would say you want to session. This is a more kind of enjoyment beer, this one. If you get the chance to try one of these, you know, just sip it and try and take in all the flavours of this one rather than sessioning it. But it's actually a slightly little bit of dry character with the bitterness that comes out in the finish, but overall I would say to you, it's more of a pale ale than the kind of standard winter ale that you'll get from the likes of Sam Adams or Brooklyn Brewery or some of the winter beers you'll get in Germany. It is more of a pale ale, but it works, the alcohol warmth in it actually works quite well, and it does have that little sort of cakey flavour in the malt that kind of makes it suitable for the winter. So this is a very different winter ale from what you'll pick up from some of the other breweries, so that's what makes it quite interesting. As I say, it's not one of the more sessionable ones. This is a nice one you want to enjoy with a kind of a nice little bit of sponge cake or something. That would go really, really well with it, just with the flavours in the beer. But this is definitely one I would say you want to enjoy, just taking all the flavours. It's very, very well blended, so it is quite complex in that regard. But for my first beer from the Elysian Brewing Company, I'm quite happy with that, I would say. I really would like to try some of their other stuff when I go up to Vancouver. I'm sure I'll be able to find it. But I hope you found this beer review informative. This is one that I would definitely recommend you try given the chance. It'll come out, I guess, in a few months' time, probably October or November or something like that. So keep an eye out for it and give it a try if you get the chance. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. People from Washington State, as I say, let me know some other breweries from your state. Very, very beautiful place, I hear. I think I was there many, many years ago, but I don't really remember it. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. As always, I hope you've enjoyed it and found it informative. Let me know in the comments section below, and as always, please subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my other beer reviews, and I will catch you soon with more of them. Cheers.